Hi, this is James Gunn, the CineTechGeek at NAB2019, and I'm here with Charles Sevier from DELL. So why am I at DELL this year? Well, if anything, there's been a lot of developments in this area in terms of IP fabrics and a lot of ITization of the production workflows of the industry. But when we talk about cloud, cloud can mean many different things to many different people. It depends on what you're doing. And so I'm here with Charles to quickly discuss the different sort of perspective of the cloud depending on who you are in the industry and what your process is in the industry. So we'll start off with specifically the high end and the studios, for example.
Yeah.
And they are really taking advantage of the cloud going forward, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, James, and thanks for dropping by. Hi to everybody watching. It's an environment now where the cloud is a really important resource, particularly for transient and burst workloads where you have to accelerate a production. Most companies, high-end post or VFX, will definitely have their own on-premise equipment for the base workload, for what they're using 90% of the time. They're going to be able to manage that at a high performance and a much lower cost for all of the base workload. But there's going to be times where they may need to accelerate that workload, and so having a connection into your choice of various public cloud providers, the public cloud provider where the application you want to run is available, is certified, and you can strike a good deal on the rates available at the time. That's where you want to have that flexibility for multi-cloud connection. So on the chart behind me, you can sort of see the base infrastructure, if you like, that DELL provides in terms of storage and virtualization, networking. Of course, end-user compute with the DELL Precision workstations are very popular in the post-production industry. But we connect through to multi-clouds through the power of VMware and vSphere.
That's right. So I like to go through some examples and walk through people so they've got some textual understanding based on what they're doing. So just quickly we went over how the networks and people in distribution typically are taking a lot of advantage of the cloud. And where a lot of confusion comes from my perspective is if you're in high-end production workflows like you were talking about, where you're talking 4K, HDR, uncompressed files, talking to edit systems that need to be snappy, very fast, and the editors are, they do not expect any delay when they push a button. So that's where cloud is not so effective, and that's when on-prem makes sense.
Yeah, latency is your killer. No creative operator is going to suffer any sort of delay between the mouse movement and the video movement.
That's exactly right, that's right.
Any sort of frame delay is an absolute killer.
And now, a new development, again at the show, is the IP fabric side. And this is where I really want to bring DELL in terms of if we are going to IP fabric and we are actually turning our SDI cables into SD2110 based on SMPTE standards for turning everything that we're used to with cables and wires into IP packets.
Yep.
The big change will be is that a lot of the features, you go around the floor at NAB, there's people selling lots of boxes which may be standards conversions, etc., right?
That all becomes software, that becomes virtualized.
That's right.
And what used to be the serial digital video transport interface with a dedicated piece of hardware, video routers, that all disappears into network.
That's right.
So that's having a huge impact, particularly on broadcasting, right?
Yes.
Broadcasting and live sports and those sorts of things where you need real-time video dedicated connections. That's where standards like SMPTE 2110 are being rapidly adopted by the industry to provide the flexibility and the reuse of equipment that you get from going IP.
That's right. Yes.
I would say in the post-production industry and in VFX, there hasn't been so much historical need for real-time video because everything is file-based, everything is workstation-based.
Yeah, I agree with that, but
anyway.
I see some of that changing though, because, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, because if I for example, went to LA and I visited a number of tier 1 production facilities there.
Yes.
And if you actually see some of the things that those tier 1 production facilities are doing, the ones which are growing and becoming more popular, is that they've usually got a lot of internal software now.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
And that internal software, for example, I looked into a machine room of one of these facilities, and there was quite a few DELL sitting in there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right? And I imagine it was running a lot of their internal proprietary software as a point of difference.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to say here is that if you are in this industry going forward, with the Academy announcing the open source initiative, like the Linux initiative with a lot of free software.
Yep.
The Academy, is also started an open source initiative specifically for software to do with doing post-production features, etc. Obviously, you need to run this software on infrastructure.
You need infrastructure, and that infrastructure can cross the boundaries between private-owned infrastructure, like virtualized Dell servers, or it can be running on public rented infrastructure in AWS or Google.
Or it could be on-prem, munching on high dynamic range, super high resolution files.
Yeah.
So it's across the board.
Yep.
But we've got to realise here is that we are changing from a tool based. You buy a tool for a specific thing to software virtualized infrastructure that can be anywhere, and you just load what you need on it to what you want to do. And that's the transition that we're going through.
And so if you walk around the show floor, and you've had more chance than me, James, to do that, you'll see that there's a decreasing focus on dedicated boxes, boxes that just do one function.
That's right.
Everybody is basically creating all of that in software. Some of it needs CPU, some needs GPU.
That's right.
And that's where Dell, with our range of infrastructure, our range of storage through Isilon and our object-based storage ECS, we can provide that essential infrastructure that is leveraged by the media industry.
Anyway, thank you very much.
No worries.
That's a great message to give people in terms of the transitioning forward with all these ITization of the industry. But I thank you, Dell, for that. And I'll go for now. This is James Gardner at NAB 2019. Bye for now.